My child, stop scrolling for just a moment, because what you are about to hear was not placed before you by accident. Something hidden has finally been brought into the light, and the person connected to your heart has just discovered a truth that changes everything. They now know who was standing between you. They now understand why messages became distant, why opportunities disappeared, why moments that should have brought you closer somehow turned into silence. And the emotion rising inside them is stronger than you realize. Do not move away from this message yet. There is a reason your spirit felt pulled toward these words. Heaven has been watching a private awakening unfold, and your soulmate has reached the moment when confusion is turning into clarity. For so long, they blamed timing. They blamed distance. They blamed their own fears. At times, they may even have blamed you. But something happened recently that forced them to look deeper, and once they did, they began to see a pattern they could no longer ignore. A name was mentioned. A past conversation was remembered. A warning that once sounded innocent suddenly revealed a different meaning. Pieces that had remained scattered began fitting together, and the picture that appeared before them was not what they expected. Someone they trusted had been influencing this connection from the shadows. Stay with me, because the most important part has not yet been revealed. Your soulmate is not furious merely because someone interfered. They are furious because they now understand how long the interference may have been happening. They are looking back at every moment when they almost reached out to you, every time they were prepared to speak honestly, every day they considered following the pull of their heart, and they are realizing that another voice repeatedly caused them to hesitate. That voice may have disguised itself as concern. It may have sounded protective. It may have said, "Be careful." It may have whispered, "You do not really know this person." It may have suggested that your feelings were not sincere, that your intentions were uncertain, or that trusting you would lead to disappointment. At first, your soulmate believed these words were coming from wisdom. Now they are beginning to recognize that something else was beneath them. Jealousy. Fear. Possessiveness. Or perhaps the quiet discomfort of someone who could not bear to see your soulmate choose a path they could not control. My child, this revelation is not arriving gently. It is moving through your soulmate like thunder through a silent sky. They are remembering things that once seemed too small to matter. A change in someone's expression whenever your name was spoken. A sudden interruption when they tried to talk about you. Advice that always seemed to point them away from you. Convenient misunderstandings that appeared at exactly the wrong time. What they once dismissed as coincidence now feels deliberate. And heaven wants you to understand something. You were not imagining the resistance around this connection. You were not weak because you sensed that something unseen was complicating what should have been simple. There were moments when your intuition tried to warn you, but because you could not prove what you felt, you questioned yourself. You wondered whether you were asking for too much. You wondered whether your soulmate truly cared. You wondered whether the bond was real or whether your heart had created meaning where none existed. But the silence was never the whole story. There were conversations you did not hear. There were opinions offered when you were not present. There were choices shaped by information that may not have been true. And now, Something has happened that has exposed the hidden influence. Do not skip this moment, because the next layer is where everything becomes more personal. Your soulmate did not discover this truth through a dramatic confession. It began with something subtle. Perhaps someone contradicted themselves. Perhaps a message resurfaced. Perhaps a mutual connection revealed a detail without realizing its importance. Perhaps your soulmate overheard a conversation that was never meant for them to hear. Whatever the exact form, one detail opened the door. And once that door opened, your soulmate could not close it again. They began asking questions. They compared dates. They remembered who said what. They noticed how often the same person appeared around every turning point in this connection. When your soulmate was ready to come closer, that person created doubt. When your soulmate was ready to apologize, that person encouraged pride. When your soulmate began missing you, that person reminded them of every fear they had ever carried. It was not always obvious. That is why it worked for so long. The interference was wrapped in familiar language. It wore the face of friendship, family loyalty, protection, or helpful advice. But underneath, it was quietly redirecting the heart of the person meant to learn something through you. Your soulmate now feels betrayed. Not only because they were misled, but because someone used their trust against the one connection that mattered most. They are asking themselves, how could I not see it? They are replaying the past and realizing that some of their decisions may not have truly belonged to them. They believed they were choosing distance. They believed they were protecting themselves. They believed they were acting rationally. But now they see that another person had planted fears and then watched those fears grow. This discovery has awakened something fierce inside them. It is not destructive anger. It is the anger of recognition. It is the emotion that comes when a person finally understands that precious time was lost because they listened to someone who did not have the right to decide the future of their heart. And there is something else. Your soulmate has started defending you. Perhaps not publicly yet. Perhaps not in a way you can see. But within their own mind, a shift has taken place. For the first time, they are questioning every negative thing they were told about you. They are comparing those accusations with the person they actually experienced. They remember your patience. They remember the way you tried to understand them even when they made it difficult. They remember moments when you could have walked away, yet you stayed gentle. They remember the sincerity in your words, the depth behind your silence, and the way your presence stirred emotions they could never fully explain. The false story is beginning to collapse because it cannot survive beside the truth of what they felt with you. My child, stay until the end, because there is a decision forming inside them, and it may become more important than the discovery itself. Right now, your soulmate is torn between two powerful urges. One part of them wants to confront the person who interfered immediately. Another part wants to come directly to you first. They are afraid that if they act too quickly, emotion will take control. But they are also afraid that if they wait, they may lose another chance. They are feeling the weight of every delayed word. Every unfinished conversation. Every apology they rehearsed but never gave. Every moment they allowed another person's opinion to become louder than their own heart. They are realizing that while they were being influenced, you may have been carrying the pain alone. This thought is affecting them more deeply than anything else. They imagine you wondering why they changed. They imagine you questioning whether you mattered. They imagine you lying awake, trying to understand why warmth became distance without warning. And now they know that their silence may have wounded you in ways they never intended. Their anger is slowly becoming regret. Their regret is becoming urgency. And their urgency is pushing them toward a truth they have avoided for far too long. They cannot continue pretending they feel nothing. They cannot keep allowing other people to define what this connection means. They cannot keep hiding behind uncertainty when their spirit has been calling your name through every season of separation. There is an awakening happening inside them now. The person who once allowed others to influence their choices is beginning to reclaim their voice. But this awakening has come with a painful realization. The one blocking the connection may be closer to them than they ever suspected. This was not a stranger. This was not someone standing far outside their life. This may have been someone they trusted deeply. Someone whose opinion carried weight. Someone who knew their fears, their weaknesses, and their private feelings about you. That person understood exactly which doubts to awaken because they had been given access to your soulmate's vulnerable side. And that is why the betrayal feels so personal. Your soulmate is asking themselves why this person wanted the connection to fail. Was it jealousy? Was it fear of being left behind? Was it a desire to keep control? Was it because your connection was powerful enough to change the direction of your soulmate's life? The answer is slowly emerging, and it is more complicated than simple dislike. The person who interfered may have recognized your importance before your soulmate was ready to admit it. They saw the change in them whenever your name appeared. They noticed how your soulmate's energy shifted after speaking with you. They sensed that this connection could inspire independence, honesty, and emotional growth. And not everyone feels comfortable when someone they influence begins becoming stronger. Your presence was awakening courage in your soulmate. You were causing them to question old patterns. You were reminding them that love should not feel like control. You were showing them, sometimes without even trying, that they deserve to choose their own path. The person blocking the connection may have feared losing their position in your soulmate's life. So they did not attack the bond openly. They used suggestion. They used doubt. They used carefully chosen words. But now those words are being exposed. The very strategy that created distance is now creating clarity. Heaven has a way of turning hidden plans into unexpected revelations. What was meant to keep two hearts confused can eventually force both hearts to see more clearly than before. What was meant to weaken trust can reveal where trust truly belongs. And what was meant to separate can sometimes awaken a love that had been sleeping beneath fear. Your soulmate is not the same person they were before this discovery. Something has changed in their eyes. They are no longer accepting simple explanations. They are no longer satisfied with half-truths. They are no longer willing to let someone else speak for their heart. For the first time, they are beginning to understand that choosing you does not simply mean choosing a relationship. It means choosing truth over manipulation. It means choosing courage over fear. It means becoming responsible for their own emotions rather than surrendering their decisions to the loudest voice around them. This is why the moment feels so intense. The connection is no longer only about romance. It has become a doorway into their transformation. My child, perhaps you have wondered why this journey has felt unusually difficult. Perhaps you asked why something that felt so natural inside your heart became so complicated in the physical world. Part of the answer is that this connection has been confronting hidden patterns in both of you. You were learning not to abandon yourself while waiting for someone else. You were learning not to chase what needed to choose you freely. You were learning that love does not require you to prove your worth endlessly. And your soulmate was learning that they cannot build a truthful life while allowing fear and outside influence to govern their heart. The delay has revealed what needed healing. The silence has exposed what needed courage. The distance has shown both of you what cannot be ignored forever. But do not misunderstand this message. Heaven is not asking you to excuse every hurt. You are not being told to forget your boundaries or accept less than honesty. The revelation happening in your soulmate does not erase the pain you experienced. It does, however, explain why the energy around the connection may be shifting now. You may already feel it. A sudden restlessness. An unexpected memory. A dream that felt more vivid than usual. A sense that someone is thinking intensely about you. A quiet pressure in your heart, as though a conversation is trying to happen before the words arrive. These signs do not mean you must stop your life and wait. They mean something within the story is moving. A truth that was buried is no longer staying buried. And your soulmate is closer than ever to acting upon what they now know. But before they come toward you, they must face the person who interfered. This confrontation may not look like shouting. It may be a calm question that leaves the other person speechless. It may be your soulmate presenting facts and watching the mask fall. It may be a boundary spoken with a firmness no one expected from them. The fury within your soulmate is not only about the past. It is about preventing the interference from continuing. They are beginning to understand that unless they create boundaries, the same pattern could repeat. Someone could apologize, pretend innocence, and then quietly begin influencing them again. So your soulmate is preparing to do something they have avoided for years. They are preparing to choose their own truth, even if it disappoints someone close to them. This is the part that frightens them. They have spent much of their life trying to keep peace. They may have learned to avoid conflict, to value approval, or to silence their own desires to make others comfortable. That pattern made them vulnerable to interference. But your connection touched a place inside them that could not remain silent forever. Even when they tried to forget you, something remained. Even when they accepted negative stories, their heart resisted. Even when they told themselves they had moved on, memories returned with unexpected force. The bond did not disappear because it was never sustained only by circumstances. It became part of an inner awakening that continued even during the distance. Now your soulmate sees that the person who tried to block the connection did not succeed completely. They may have delayed it. They may have confused it. They may have caused pain. But they could not erase what was real. And this realization is giving your soulmate courage. They are beginning to feel that perhaps the connection survived because it still has something important to reveal. Perhaps the story was not ending during the silence. Perhaps it was being stripped of illusion. But there is a secret your soulmate has not yet admitted, even to themselves. Their fury toward the person who interfered is partly fury toward themselves. They are angry that they doubted you. They are angry that they did not ask you directly. They are angry that they trusted assumptions more than the connection they experienced. They are angry because deep inside, they knew something was wrong, yet they chose the easier path of avoidance. This self-directed anger is becoming painful. They are remembering one particular moment when they could have changed everything. There was a day, a conversation, or an opportunity when they nearly told you the truth. They nearly admitted how strongly they felt. They nearly asked the question that could have cleared away the confusion. But just before they acted, something stopped them. A warning. A message. A conversation. A reminder of an old wound. Now they realize that this interruption may not have been accidental. The memory is returning with new meaning, and it is breaking their heart. They are thinking, what if I had trusted myself that day? What if I had spoken? What if I had chosen love instead of fear? What if all this time, the person I was told to doubt was the one person being genuine with me? These questions are leading them toward you. Not because they expect instant forgiveness. Not because they believe one explanation can erase everything. But because they know they owe you the truth. There is something they need to confess. Something about what they were told. Something about why they pulled away. Something about the person who influenced them. And something about what they truly felt while pretending not to care. Do not skip now, because this confession holds the key to the next chapter. Your soulmate has been writing words in their mind. They may have started a message and deleted it. They may have opened your profile, stared at your name, and closed the screen. They may have imagined how your voice would sound if you answered. They are searching for the right beginning, but nothing feels large enough to carry the truth. How do they say, I was wrong? How do they admit, I let someone come between us? How do they explain that their distance was influenced by things you never knew? How do they tell you that beneath all the confusion, they never fully stopped caring? They fear you will not believe them. They fear you have already emotionally closed the door. They fear that while they were listening to the wrong person, you learned how to live without them. That possibility is creating urgency in their heart. For the first time, they understand that you are not guaranteed to remain available forever. Your love is precious, but it is not something they can neglect endlessly. Your patience is deep, but it is not permission for them to avoid responsibility. Your spiritual connection may be meaningful, but they still must show up honestly in the physical world. This understanding is making them grow. And growth often begins with discomfort. Their old self would have remained silent to avoid consequences. Their awakening self knows silence has already caused the consequences they feared. So now a choice stands before them. Remain hidden and risk losing you completely. Or step forward, reveal everything, and accept whatever truth comes next. Heaven is not forcing their choice. True love cannot be built through force. But circumstances are aligning in a way that makes avoidance more painful than honesty. The truth is pressing against their heart. The person who interfered is losing control over the story. The false narrative is weakening. And your soulmate is approaching a moment of decision. There may soon be a conversation that changes the emotional atmosphere around this connection. It could begin with a simple message, but the weight behind it will be enormous. It could sound ordinary at first, yet beneath the first few words will be months or years of unspoken truth. Do not judge the opening by its simplicity. They may not immediately say everything. They may begin cautiously. They may ask how you are. They may mention something from the past. They may apologize without fully explaining why. But if the conversation continues, a deeper revelation will begin to emerge. And what they reveal may confirm something you sensed long ago. You may learn that someone misrepresented your actions. You may discover that a message never reached them the way you intended. You may hear that your words were twisted, your silence was misinterpreted, or your intentions were questioned by someone who never truly understood your heart. Yet even this is not the biggest revelation. The greatest truth is not simply who blocked the connection. The greatest truth is why your soulmate finally stopped believing them. Something happened that exposed your sincerity in a way no lie could overcome. Perhaps they discovered that you protected them when you had every reason to speak against them. Perhaps they learned you remained respectful even while hurt. Perhaps someone told them how deeply you cared. Perhaps they saw evidence that contradicted everything they had been led to believe. Whatever it was, it forced them to confront a reality they could no longer escape. You were not the danger. You were not the deceiver. You were not the one playing with the connection. And the person they trusted may have known that all along. This is the thought that has ignited their fury. They are no longer asking whether interference happened. They are asking how far it went. How many conversations were shaped? How many opportunities were interrupted? How many lies were presented as concern? And most importantly, what was the blocker trying to prevent your soulmate from discovering about you? Because there is one final detail hidden beneath everything. The interference may not have begun because the person disliked you. It may have begun because they knew something about your soulmate's feelings before your soulmate openly admitted it. They knew the connection was becoming serious. They knew you were reaching a part of your soulmate no one else could reach. They knew that if your soulmate chose you fully, an old pattern of control would end. And now your soulmate has found proof that the interference was planned much earlier than they first believed. A message. A conversation. A secret agreement. A statement made behind their back. Something has surfaced, and it contains your name. Your soulmate has seen it. They know who wrote it. They know when it began. And as they read the final line, they discovered that the person blocking this connection was not acting alone. There was someone else involved. Someone you would never expect. Someone who knows more about this bond than they have ever admitted. And the moment your soulmate realized who the second person was, they made a decision that could change everything between you.